The name Steve Perry is a byword for one of the best rock vocalists ever. As the heart and soul of Journey, Perry not only helped the band reach its highest level of popularity but also made a lasting impression with classic songs like Open Arms, Faithfully, and Don't Stop Believin' That. His voice had a depth of emotion that made it unforgettable in addition to being strong and energetic. But Steve Perry abruptly left the spotlight during the prime of his career. The decades-long calm was devoid of vehement arguments and explosive controversies. As his contemporaries persisted in performing and flourishing on stage, Perry appeared to disappear from the music industry. Not a single scandal or formal retirement announcement, just a low-key retreat from the spotlight. The mystery surrounding Steve Perry only deepens as new generations continue to sing along to Don't Stop Believin'. Why would one of the most iconic voices in rock have left it all? Was it a personal battle, the burden of celebrity, or some other cause that only he knew? Come with me as we explore a legend. In the past, a man who made the world listen decided to remain silent in the face of the very songs that characterized him. Early life Steve Perry was born on January 22, 1949, into a Portuguese-American family in Hanford, California. His blood seemed to be infused with music from birth. Raymond Perry, who was born Pereira, was his father. He was a professional singer who sang in clubs throughout town. However, Perry did not grow up surrounded by music. Instead, he was devastated by his parents' divorce when he was only 2 years old. Perry was reared by his strong yet industrious mother, Mary Quaresma, without the presence of his father. Life was anything but simple for the two, who traveled about a lot. In the absence of a whole family, Perry felt lost and isolated. However, it was precisely this sensation of longing that drove his intense search for a place where he fit in. To discover a voice that could satisfy the void within him. Perry was captivated by the voice of Sam Cooke, one of his greatest influences, and spent hours as a child listening to his father's old recordings. Artists like Elvis Presley, the Platters, and Jackie Wilson also drew him in. He found solace from the loneliness of the world via music. When his mother gave him a tiny transistor radio when he was 12 years old, it was a game changer. It served as a doorway to a whole new universe, not just a gift. Perry took in every note, melody, and lyric with the eagerness of a child finding his own passion. A legendary voice began to take shape as he experimented with his voice and mimicked the musicians he adored. The path to music was not an easy one. Perry encountered doubt and major challenges during his adolescence. Even while he enjoyed singing, he felt that he would never be able to pursue music seriously, especially as a young man from a tiny town with little prospects. Despite her unwavering support, his mother was concerned about the unclear course he was on. Perry persisted in the face of all the difficulties. He began as a drummer for the Sullies band while he was a student at Hanford High School and later rose to the position of lead singer. That was the first time he had really performed in front of a crowd, and he knew that the stage was his place. Following high school, he continued to perform with local bands and hone his voice while attending Visalia College, which is now known as College of the Sequoias. However, despite his intense love, his dream of becoming a singer remained unattainable. He played in tiny pubs for years in a desperate attempt to find a breakthrough, but he was consistently turned down. He was on the verge of giving up. After relocating to Los Angeles with the hopes of landing a big break, Perry wondered if his move was pointless. Then everything changed with a single phone call, just when it seemed like everything was falling apart. One of the band Journey was looking for a new lead vocalist. And with a single phone call, Steve Perry's life took a completely unexpected turn. First, career. Steve Perry was not an artist who achieved immediate fame. He struggled for years to establish himself in the music business and faced several setbacks before joining Journey as lead singer. Following his graduation from Visalia College, Perry focused solely on furthering his singing career. He performed at local festivals and bars with a number of tiny bands. However, he was never truly successful with any of these organizations. In the late 1960s, he created the band Ice, which was one of his first significant endeavors. But just as the team was ready to have a recording opportunity, the initiative failed since their manager got into a car accident. It was the first significant setback to Perry's career, leading him to doubt his direction. Perry was determined not to give up and kept looking for new chances. Despite joining the progressive rock group Pieces in the early 1970s, he was unable to leave a lasting impression. He eventually joined the band Alien Project, which had a lot of promise, as its lead singer. Now that Alien Project was about to secure a big record deal, Perry's ideal appeared to be finally within reach. However, fate was about to put him to yet another harsh test. One of Perry's closest friends, Richard Michaels, the bassist for Alien Project, passed away tragically in an automobile accident. Perry was heartbroken by the abrupt loss and mistakenly believed that a career in music wasn't for him. He was so distraught that he chose to leave everything behind and go back to Hanford, his hometown, where he would live in peace and quiet away from the spotlights. Perry appeared to be headed for oblivion, but fate had other ideas. Journey's guitarist Neil Schon was looking for a new vocalist in 1977 who might boost the band's performance. Even while Journey was talented, its progressive rock sound had not yet produced a significant hit. Perry's old demo tape was discovered by Journey's manager, Herbie Herbert, following several unsuccessful auditions. His unique voice immediately captured Herbert's attention, and he encouraged the band to give Perry a chance. Perry had virtually abandoned music by this point. No longer aspired to be a star, but he gave it one final chance after much deliberation. After just one practice, everyone thought they had discovered the ideal missing element, and Perry agreed to meet with Journey. Steve Perry was formally named Journey's lead vocalist in October 1977. He wasn't immediately embraced by every band member. Perry had a soul-inspired vocal style that was strong, passionate, and different from Journey's original progressive rock orientation, which placed an emphasis on complex musicianship. Perry, however, quickly demonstrated that this very distinction would be crucial in bringing Journey into a completely new age. Success with Journey. The band was still having trouble making a name for itself in the music business when Steve Perry was formally appointed lead singer in 1977. Although they had focused on technical musicianship in their progressive rock style, they had not yet established themselves as a significant force. Perry's entrance, however, fundamentally altered Journey's course. With his unique voice, which is strong and intensely passionate, he not only gave the band new life, but also assisted them in finding a sound that really connected with the listeners. Infinity, Perry's debut album with Journey, released in 1978, signaled a dramatic change in the band's sound, moving from prog rock to melodic rock, which is more palatable to a wider audience. Their first big hit, Will in the Sky, was swiftly achieved, demonstrating that Perry's vocals were crucial to Journey's success. By selling more than 3 million copies and launching a golden age that would run for more than 10 years, the record surpassed all expectations. As the 1980s got underway, Journey's popularity only grew. With several popular tracks, the album's evolution, 1979, and departure, 1980, further enhanced their reputation. But all of this was just a prelude to Escape's 1981 release, which was their biggest hit to date. In addition to being Journey's career-defining record, it also went on to become one of the all-time best-selling rock albums. With classic tunes like Don't Stop Believin', Open Arms, and Who's Crying Now, Perry emerged as one of the world's most adored vocalists. Despite being released in 1981, Don't Stop Believin', in particular, became a cultural phenomenon and kept cropping up on the charts for decades. Innumerable films and television series featured it, and it even went on to become the all-time best-selling digital rock song. With Frontiers, 1983, Journey cemented their supremacy after the enormous success of Escape. This album featured additional classic songs including Separate Ways, Worlds Apart, Faithfully, and Send Her My Love. Neil Schon's strong guitar playing, Perry's passionate vocals, and the band's outstanding composition all contributed to Journey's status as one of America's best rock bands. They created an extremely devoted fan base, sold millions of CDs, and went on sold-out world tours. However, Perry started to feel the weight of the tremendous pressure on him when Journey was at the height of their success. He was worn out from years of non-stop touring, crippling fan expectations, and rising band tensions. During this time, Perry made the decision to pursue a solo career. He released Street Talk in 1984, which included the popular song Oh Sherry, which went on to become one of his biggest singles. This accomplishment demonstrated Perry's ability to succeed without Journey, but it also increased conflict within the group. Everything appeared to be going smoothly on the surface, but Perry was already thinking of removing himself from the limelight. He was passionate about music, but his enthusiasm was increasingly sapped by the demands of celebrity and personal hardships. After that, a startling choice was made. By leaving Journey, Steve Perry ended the band's heyday and began a new, enigmatic chapter in his life. Why did Steve Perry abandon everything? Journey's success earned them recognition, a place in rock history, and the admiration of millions of fans, but it also came with a lot of pressure. Long tours, rigorous record release dates, and mounting expectations were all part of Perry's exhausting cycle. He did more than just sing lead. His job as the band's heart and soul required unshakable dedication and came with continual criticism. Within the group, tensions increased. Perry and Neil Schon, in particular, were at odds over the band's artistic direction. Perry wanted to experiment with more delicate, sentimental songs, but the band wanted to stick to their strong rock sound. However, it wasn't the strain of Journey that really shattered Perry. There was nothing that could make up for that loss. His mother died in 1985 following a protracted disease struggle. She was more than just the person who brought him up. She was his biggest support system and source of strength. She had supported him through all of his struggles and been the one person who had believed in his ambition to become a singer since he was a young child. Perry felt as though he had lost a piece of himself when she passed away. He lost his love for music, experienced a severe emotional breakdown, and gave leaving Journey significant thought. In 1987, 2 years later, Perry made his exit from the band formerly known. There was only a man who had grown weary of the demands of celebrity making the difficult decision. There was no scandal or spectacular farewell. It was inconceivable to fans that a great vocalist could abandon his career at the height of his popularity. Although Journey went on without him, Perry's distinctive voice was genuinely missed. Perry came very close to leaving the music industry in the years that followed. He rejected public attention, lived a tranquil life, and refrained from getting involved in any new endeavors. However, Journey made contact in 1996 and offered to get back together and make a new album. Perry, unexpectedly, agreed. It's possible that he had never really let go of music or that he felt prepared to return. Trial by Fire, a victorious return that demonstrated Perry's voice's enduring power, was the outcome. Even the song When You Love a Woman was nominated for a Grammy. However, just as it appeared like everything was coming back together, destiny stepped in once more. A serious hip injury occurred when Journey was getting ready for their tour. In order for him to continue performing, doctors recommended that he get hip replacement surgery. But Perry kept putting off the operation because he was terrified of surgery and medical procedures. He was opposed to having surgery. Wasn't interested in being operated on, which made Journey's condition untenable. The band had to make a difficult choice after waiting months for Perry to return with no indication. They found a replacement singer to take his place. Steve Perry quit Journey once more, formally this time permanently, in 1998. In contrast to his low-key resignation in 1987, this exit signaled the actual end of an era. Journey continued, but many fans never felt that Journey was the same without Perry. Following his departure from the band, Perry almost disappeared from the music industry. He did not participate in any Journey-related events, release any records, or play live. Nobody was aware of his whereabouts, his activities, or whether he would ever take the stage again. Suddenly, one of the best voices in rock had turned into a vanishing legend, leaving an open question and a number of classic hits in their wake. Why did Steve Perry actually leave everything behind? Personal life: Steve Perry never had any scandals, tumultuous marriages, or high-profile affairs like many of his peers had, but his personal life was filled with significant losses that left a lasting impression on the soul of a man who had once achieved the height of his career. Perry, who had millions of admirers, never got married. His hit song "Oh Sherry" (1984) was inspired by Sherry Swafford, whom he had a romantic encounter with when he was younger. Sherry had an important role in his life during Journey's heyday in addition to being his partner. However, their relationship ultimately failed due to the demands of his work, the never-ending touring, and their increasing separation. According to Perry's later admission, he was unable to maintain love because of his hectic schedule and his burdensome job with Journey. Following their split, Sherry stepped back from the limelight, while Perry carried on with his musical career, always remembering the lady who had been his inspiration. It was destiny that took Perry to Kelly Nash years after he had already left the stage and was leading a quiet life. Someone who would influence his life in a way that no one could have predicted. In addition to being a psychologist, Nash had survived breast cancer. When Perry's buddy, filmmaker Patty Jenkins, showed him a documentary about cancer patients in 2011, they first crossed paths. Perry was drawn to Nash while he was watching, and when he found out that she shared his passion for music, he made the decision to get in touch with her. A fortuitous meeting turned into a deep and meaningful love tale. Perry and Nash became soulmates, sharing unmet expectations, worries, and memories of the past in addition to their love. Happiness, however, was short-lived once more, as fate had tried Perry previously. Nash learned that her cancer had come back, and it was terminal. Given the limited amount of time they had together, Perry committed himself to being at her side and savoring each moment he had left with the lady he loved. Nash's death in December 2012 left Perry with an indelible hole in his heart. After a while, he acknowledged that Nash had assisted him in regaining feelings he believed he had long since lost. Following her death, Perry once again retreated into silence. In the end, though, it was his recollections of Nash that brought him back to music. He felt obliged to sing once more because Nash had requested it of him, not because he wanted to be famous or well-known. Declared he would never get married or fall in love with anyone else again in a rare interview. His last love, Nash, would always be a part of him, as would their relationship. People who know Perry say that despite his current private life, he is a genuine, compassionate individual who cherishes the relationships that helped to shape him. He no longer performs frequently and doesn't pursue fame. He still pays tribute to his former bandmates, though. A reunion and Perry's final performance with the band were anticipated by fans after Journey was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2017. He did not accept the microphone, despite his appearance and heartfelt statement of appreciation. For him, that chapter was permanently closed. A guy who once held the entire globe in his hands and whose voice moved millions of people decided to live a quiet life, preserving his memories alone. His voice still reverberates through the classic songs that have become an indelible part of music history, even though he may no longer perform live. Steve Perry has opted to live a quiet life after decades of being out of the public eye. No more hurried recording sessions or completely sold-out tours. He has transformed from a guy of glittering stages to an artist who treasures his life's most important moments and memories. Although Perry still has a deep love for music, he is no longer interested in being enmeshed in the hectic world of celebrity and the demands of the entertainment business. His renowned voice, though, has never really been quiet. After a long break, Perry returned in 2018 with the highly intimate album Traces, which reflected on his past, the peace he had finally discovered within himself, and the years he had spent lost in recollections of Kelly Nash. Perry, the fiery rock of the past, was no more. This record was more subdued and poignant, a sincere admission from a guy who had experienced both success and tragedy and was now singing only for himself. Despite his infrequent public appearances, Perry continued to work on small musical endeavors after retirement. He relished his quiet days, occasionally sharing his lifelong passion for music in few interviews. He released his sentimental, heartfelt Christmas CD, The Season, in 2021. It was intended only as a present for his fans who still loved his music, not for financial gain. On November 8, Steve Perry's latest Christmas album, The Season 3, was released by George Harrison's label, Dark Horse Records. His career took a fresh turn when he worked with Harrison's storied record label for the first time. Perry's long-held desire came true on this album when he sang a duet with his late father, Ray Perry. He used technology to combine his own voice with his father's vocals from a 1993 cassette recording for the song Call Me Irresponsible. In a way he never imagined possible, Perry said this was a magical miracle of the holiday season that allowed him to re-establish a relationship with his father. Regardless of Perry's singing career, his memory endures forever. Songs like Don't Stop Believin', Open Arms, Faithfully Separate Ways, and Ushery are timeless masterpieces that have endured throughout generations. More than just a rock song, Don't Stop Believin' has become a cultural phenomenon, appearing in innumerable movies and television series and being treasured during important times in the lives of millions of people worldwide. Even without a lengthy solo career or hundreds of albums, Steve Perry remains one of the finest rock vocalists ever. Along with famous tunes, he left behind a legacy of inspiration for other artists. His voice, a flawless blend of technical mastery and unadulterated passion, continues to be a standard for excellence among up-and-coming vocalists and music icons like Jon Bon Jovi, Axl Rose, and Adam Lambert, demonstrating that music is more than just a set of notes. But each melody also carries the artist's spirit. Even if he is no longer performing, Steve Perry will live on in popular culture. His voice has continued to reverberate in music lovers' hearts despite his decision to live a solitary existence. He left behind tunes that will inspire future generations no matter how much time goes by, serving as a constant reminder that great music never goes out of style. How do you feel about Steve Perry's emotional journey? Have his timeless songs or his inspiring life narrative influenced you in any way? Post your ideas in the comments section below. As we continue to explore the stories of music giants, don't forget to hit like and subscribe to remain tuned. Thanks for seeing, and I hope to see you in the next video. Goodbye.